BYND is officially dead meat. I've been talking about this since July, people. I'm going to talk to you when D-Day is coming and why you should expect BYND or Beyond Meat to continue to crash coming up. That's right, guys. BYND has fallen 50% since I've talked about this continuing to come down. Back in July, it was all the way up at $240 a share, 800% from its IPO, and now it's continually crashing down. I'm going to explain why I think that it's going to continue to do so and even get down into the $60 range perhaps in just a second. But first, I want to welcome you to my channel. Welcome to Own the Chaos. This channel is all about business and finance. You know, in this industry, it's a crazy and chaotic world, and it's my job to help you own it. So welcome. If you want to see more videos such as this, hopefully I earn a subscription from you and a like if you like this video. I'm going to talk to you about BYND. Now, if you guys recall back in July when I was talking about this and how I felt BYND was just going to come crashing and having a horrible dying death, it had a lot to do with the share structure of this stock. There's a lot of other factors as to why BYND has also come down, but it was extremely overvalued at $240 a share. At the time, I was like, you know, it's probably not going to be out of the realm of possibility to see it come down around $165 a share, and that was back in July. It's since come down. I've made a killing on this thing, shorting it ever since. I've never gone long on BYND since July. You know, I've taken my profits here and there, and I've been sticking into this one now for the last week or so, and it's been paying off. I'm up about $3,500 as of the recording of this video. I expect to be up even more than that just on this trade alone. So it's been pretty awesome to see how this has been developing. And you know, it's always tough, right, when you're trading and you short stocks and you're like expecting it to come down, and you have these people that just like believe in this thing so much, and it's like, listen, the writing's been on the wall. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. So first I want to talk to you about this lockup expiration. I pulled up the one of the filings back in July to show you about you know, the amount of shares that are going to be coming into this stock. So if you look here at this Seeking Alpha article, it says, according to the latest prospectus dated July 31st, which is right around the time that I put this out, put the latest video out, it says the lockup period expires. There will be about 61 million shares outstanding, of which 48.8 million will no longer be part of the lockup agreement. Currently, there is a float of roughly 13 million shares. It means the number of shares now available to trade will be more than triple. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, if you're not familiar about the fundamentals of trading and how all that impacts the stock, this has everything to do with buying volume and the amount of shares that are available that are going to be sold into the market. Right now, there are about 48.8 million shares that are locked up, and in about 5 days, those shares will be available to be dumped into the stock. What that means for you as the regular retail investor is that it's going to be much harder to get BYND to move in the upward direction because there's just going to be so much more shares available. It has everything to do with simple economics, right? We talk about simple economics when you're in middle school or high school, and you say supply and demand. The less supply there is, the higher the demand. And that's how that works in the stock market. If there's less shares to go around, the greater the potential for the price of the stock to go up. When there's a shit ton of shares to go around, it's going to be a lot harder for that stock to move. And that's what's going on with BYND. I mean, we're talking penny stock level type of float that's going to be taking place on Beyond Meat. And it's a really tough thing to see. But there's other things that are going on with this stock as well. In a recent press release by Investopedia, Beyond Meat shares fell about 5% on Monday's session after Wells Fargo initiated coverage on the stock with a market perform rating and price target of $125 per share. I think that was a little bit generous if you ask me. Analyst John Baumgartner believes that Beyond Meat is well positioned to grow in the nascent plant-based meat alternative space, but cautions its growth potentially is fully discounted in the current valuation. He recommends waiting for increased visibility into the pace of the market adoption and the competitive landscape before buying the stock. What you don't understand, Mr. Baumgartner, is that there is a shit ton of shares coming into this stock. Not only that, but there's also other players involved in this and creating, a greater competition. And these are much bigger players than Beyond Meat. It wouldn't surprise me if one of these bigger players, such as Tyson, perhaps, comes in and tries to scoop up Beyond Meat, because at this point, it's really just not going to go anywhere. To support my opinion on this, let's just go to an article that just came out today at 10:33 a.m. on at MarketWatch.com. It says Beyond Meat fell 5.2% in Friday trading after the plant-based meat company was initiated to sell at CFRA with a 120 12-month target. Analyst Arun Sundaram expects Beyond Meat to face increased competition from large food companies. Tyson Foods and Kellogg are among businesses that have entered in the space with their own plant-based alternatives. These are players that have a lot more money, a lot more marketing power, and honestly, they probably could come up with a better product than what Beyond Meat has, if I'm honest. These are companies that have been around for nearly 100 years. They know what they're doing in this space. They know the business behind it. And I think Beyond Meat is in a heap of trouble. Going further, we think larger food companies will end up as category leaders in the space given their vast global footprint and embedded relationships throughout the supply chain, CFRA said. Beyond Meat stock has tumbled 34.6% over the last 3 months, while S&P 500 is up 19.4% for the period. So this just goes along right with my point. Beyond Meat's in a lot of trouble. I think it's going to go down to maybe even $60. Wouldn't surprise me if it got down to $30. That is a ridiculous share structure for this price point, and people are going to want to get out before those shares get dumped on them. So I would expect this to probably go well below $100. Right now I'm short on it. Been short on it for a week. You know, throughout since July, I have taken short positions and then gotten out, but I think this is the time to just stay short long on this. And again, it's just my opinion. I'm not telling anybody else to do this, but all these signs are pointing towards you know, a huge dump off on BYND. You know, it's just I can't stress that enough. I mean, you really don't even have to look at the chart. This is strictly a fundamental play for me. There's a lot of people that came up to me and was like, hey, listen, you know, what about the bounce that could happen at $100 even? And I say, you know what? I really just could not care less about what the chart looks like. This is strictly a fundamental play for me. That's a ton of shares that are going to be coming into that stock. And, you know, there's just not going to be enough people to buy it all up for it to sustain anything in the triple digits. It's just not. To top it all off, guys, I've been telling you about this since July. So you've had plenty of opportunities to make a lot of money on BYND, as I have already. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and stick through on this short. It's going to be a great stock to short, and anybody who's going to go long on this thing is seriously delusional. I honestly feel that way. Why would you expect a stock that's going to triple its float to go up? It's just simple math. It's just simple math, guys. And, you know, there's no way that this is going to get squeezed out. A lot more shorts are going to be piling into this thing, and I'm just going to be there laughing all the way to the bank. Beyond Meat is dead meat, and I might just go buy myself a steak tonight, come to think of it. So in all seriousness, guys, if you got anything out of this video, if you learned something, even if you just wanted to give me a little bit of a pat on the back, I certainly would appreciate that in the form of a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to this channel, you want to see more content such as this, you want to capitalize on some of these plays that we do, I have a morning mentorship, and the links are down in the description below. It's super cheap, doesn't cost anything, it pays for itself every month. Just ask anybody who's in it already, and go check it out. So you want to learn from me, go check out the mentorship that I provide over at WeTradeHQ.com. It's a great community to be a part of, and people are loving it so far, and I'm having a great time doing it as well. So check that out, guys, if you're interested. And that's going to do it for me. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. And as always, guys, I will see you all before the bell. And B. Smith is out.
I'd like to just take a pause and just talk about how it's really cool that just so happens we're wearing the exact same outfits that we decided. If you watched the last week's video, if you haven't watched the last week's video,
ignore everything.
Then I got a problem with you.